Welcome to your Partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and today's conversation is all about making travel more accessible, practical, and surprisingly affordable. My guest, Julia Menez, is a points strategy coach, and I'll be honest with you, I had not heard of such a thing. So I'm fascinated with this whole conversation. And she is a travel expert who teaches people how to use credit card rewards, points, and miles to travel better for less. Today, we are sponsored by Jennifer Jensen of Authentic Leader. Now, Jennifer knows that to lead others effectively, you first have to lead yourself, and she's not kidding about this. She helps leaders understand their strengths, their blind spots, and how they show up under pressure. Through Lumina learning assessments, Jennifer gives you real clarity, and this isn't a generic personality kind of typing. It's a practical way to uncover your authentic leadership style and then create a plan to grow. So whether you're leading yourself or your team, self-awareness is where true leadership begins. So visit Jennifer at authenticleader.ca to see how Jennifer Jensen and Lumina Learning can help you lead with confidence and authenticity. And now back to my guest. Welcome, Julia. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get into travel hacking, which honestly is a term I had never heard of, and helping people with points and miles?
Hey, Denise. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I listened to a few episodes of your show to prepare for this, and what you are building here is something really special. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for that because I host a podcast too. I know it isn't easy, it takes a lot of work. So you're creating real impact. I'm honored to be part of it.
Thank you.
And of course. So, how did I get into this? Well, back in the day, I was an actuary by trade. Nobody goes to school to become a points influencer online. So I priced out insurance and did a lot of deep math modeling. It required a lot of certification exams. And one day I was done with exams and had so much energy that my husband was like, okay, you need a hobby. So he sent me all of these links to different personal finance blogs, and I learned about points and miles through there. At first, I honestly was like, okay, so you're applying for a bunch of credit cards and then you redeem those points for luxury flights. That seems like a scam. There's no way that's legit. But
And that's when you and I were first talking in the pre-interview. I had exactly the same thought. It's like, to me, the only way you were going to get these points was to have a bunch of credit cards.
yeah, we're going to talk about some different ways to do that now where
Okay,
you
good.
don't need a bunch of credit cards. But that's what I thought you needed in the beginning. So I was like, well, we'll start with one or two and accumulated some points. And our first redemption was actually on accident. We had booked a flight over to Morocco on points, sorry, just with regular money. And we had a tour guide who was handling everything for us, picking us up from the airport, hotels, excursions, transit, everything. But he had to cancel on us 24 hours before the flight. And so I was scrambling trying to figure out where we were going to stay. And that's the first time that I redeemed any points. It was with Starwood Preferred, which has now merged with Marriott. But we got there and I had my little confirmation printout that said I had free nights at this hotel. I thought we were going to be homeless in Casablanca. But we walked up and they said, yeah, you have 3 nights complimentary because of your credit card points. You also have the co-branded credit card. So now you get upgraded and you have free lounge access with food and breakfast and drinks and snacks. So from there, I was definitely hooked. That's how I got into the hobby back in 2017.
And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like yesterday, but also it feels like forever ago in some ways.
Right. Right. Sometimes I look back, oh, that happened, a couple years ago. No, it was 2016. Let's think about this. So you've described how your first experiences with points and miles opened your eyes. What did you start doing? Were you still an in the middle of your I can't say the word, actuarial career? And do you still use that today in your travel coaching? Did you just kind of split up from one and go do something different because it was fascinating and it really helped your lifestyle?
So with points and miles in the beginning, none of this was supposed to be income yielding. It was just supposed to be for fun. And I fully expected my life would just be climb the corporate ladder in my actuarial career.
Right.
But as the pandemic hit, I was really, really lonely at home. I'm very extroverted, wanted to just talk about points and miles the entire time. My husband was pretty tired of hearing about it. So I started reaching out to other people on the internet. I would just search for anybody talking about points and miles on Instagram and say, hey, do you want to jump on a Zoom call and video chat and nerd out about points? And they are all like, no, I don't know you. That's very
Right.
weird. So
We
I
see that a
said,
lot in LinkedIn. I get these all the time in LinkedIn. No, it's almost like you're asking me to marry you before we had a cup of coffee. No, I don't want to chat with you. So I
yeah.
get what
So,
you're talking about.
but then I was like, well, what if I record our conversation and share it with thousands of people on the internet? I didn't
Mm,
think that was going to be the thing that made people say yes, but they were like, oh, are you launching a points podcast? I'd love to be part of it. And I said, yeah, that I am definitely doing that. And it was just to bamboozle people into hanging out with me because I didn't have a lot of friends. And so I batched like 20 of these. I was like, this is so great. Like, people are just telling me their secrets about how they earn points and how they redeem points. And at some point, somebody was like, when are you going to air this? So I was like, oh, I need to actually release the podcast in order to convince more people to just hang out with me for an hour telling me their point secrets. So I released the podcast. It was just supposed to be for fun, wasn't supposed to make money out of it. But then eventually people listened to it and said, hey, I don't have time to listen to your podcast. Can I just pay you to do this for me? Small amounts of money. Eventually, credit card companies were like, do you want affiliate links? You talk about these credit cards anyway. We can just give you links. So if people apply through those, then you get a commission. I said, sure, we'll implement that. And it just started growing from there. And then in about 2022, I think, 2022 February, um, I moved from my corporate role over to a startup, an actuarial consulting startup, because I had kind of plateaued. I couldn't find a director role that I wanted in my corporate role. So then I went to the startup, which, unbeknownst to me, was bleeding money, and I was out of a job in about 5 months. So I was like, well, I guess I have 40 hours a week to fill. I'll just work on this while searching for a new job in the meantime. And you'd be surprised how much you can grow your side gig if you treat it like a full-time job. So within 2 months, which is about as long as it took me to find a role I liked that I got an offer to, I was like, I will just do this full time for a while and see how it goes. And that's how the business of GeoBreeze Travel came to be.
and I'm listening to you and going, yep, yep, been there, done that. That's often how so many people become true entrepreneurs if they weren't already, because they find something that they're very passionate about, that they love, and that can help other people. And that's the trick, help other people. And clearly that's what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what is and I've never tried travel hacking. So, what is the first step that you would recommend? First of all, I'm going to guess go to your website.
I would actually recommend working backwards and trying to figure
Really?
out what is it that you want to do with these points. Is there a particular trip or destination that you want to take? Like, what's the point of all of this? Don't open credit cards just to say you opened a bunch of credit cards. So, you want to work backwards with the goal in mind. And then once you figure out where you want to go or when you want to go, figure out, okay, what airplanes even fly between my home airport or a nearby airport over to that destination, what kind of points will transfer over there, and then what kind of credit cards or other methods can get me those types of points. So working backwards and then letting that determine what credit cards to get and what kind of points to accumulate is going to be a much more focused and surgical approach versus opening 20 different credit cards because people on Instagram told you to. And then now you're trying to figure out how to aggregate all of those together.
And doesn't that hurt your credit score?
No, that's a common myth. But
Really?
actually, the as long as you're paying everything off in full every month, very important to do that because the points and miles credit cards have some of the highest interest rates on the market. They kind of assume you're not going to pay off your credit card every month, and they make a lot of money off of interest. So, number one, make sure if you get into this game, you're paying off your credit cards in full every month. But then the second most important part of your credit score is actually utilization, which is the amount of credit that you are using divided by the total amount of credit you have available to you. And it actually looks better if that percentage is really low. So you can get there two ways. You could either just spend less on your credit cards, or you can get more credit. So as you get more credit in your name, your utilization percentage actually goes down, which looks great for your credit score.
Understood. You had mentioned other methods other than credit cards. So
There's
what are those?
there's a ton. So you can purchase points. A lot of these just go on sale. So if you don't want to open a new card, but let's say Alaska Airlines, you found a really good deal and you can just buy the Alaska Airline miles, it's a pretty good way to get about 50% off of, let's say, a business class flight would be $2,000 normally. You can usually buy the points for $1,000 as long as there's a good points redemption. Purchase the points for $1,000, redeem the points for that ticket, and it's a pretty good way to get 50% off or so that way.
Oh, I
There
didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can buy the points. Um, Lots of different partnership programs that you can just link. So, a popular one that I like is dining portals. It's small amounts of points, but it's super easy. So, whichever credit card you use for restaurants, link that up to your favorite airline portal. You could Google American Airlines dining portal or Delta dining portal. I actually like using the Built app for this, BILT, because their points are flexible. They transfer to more places. So just linking up a credit card to those different apps that give you some passive points are nice. There are different websites where it's like Expedia, but instead of giving you discounts, they will give you bonus points. So my favorite is Rove Miles, ROVE. And what you do is you buy your hotel through there. Rove would get a commission from the hotel for effectively um, marketing you towards that hotel. And then they pass off part of that commission towards you in the form of points and miles that you can then use for your flight. So you book your hotel with money, generate points, and then the points that you earn can be used for flights. So that one also doesn't require any special credit cards. And there are tons of these different techniques.
I'm asking all these questions, honestly, for my sister who loves to travel. I don't care to travel. I'm an introvert and I like to be right here, right here in my command center. But she loves to travel. I'm trying to think what she would want me to ask you. So if I'm asking questions that don't really make much sense, blame her. Her name's Diane. So anyway,
Okay.
let's get that out of the way. So what is the biggest mistake that beginners like me would make when it comes to points and miles? And you mentioned, going backwards, which makes perfect sense. But what are the biggest mistakes that you see?
A lot of people will try to book their points flights the way that they try to book cash flights, and it's a different strategy. For example, when you're booking tickets with regular money, you can sometimes get discounts for booking round trip. That doesn't work with points. I actually recommend booking everything in one-way segments because let's say that you're trying to go to Europe. The best flight deal over there might be with British Airways. But then on the day you need to fly back, the best date or the best airline program might be Air France. So book everything in one-way segments, search in one-way segments when you're looking to book points flights. It'll save a lot of points. Another thing that will help a lot of people is the concept of positioning flights. Again, a lot of people will search for flights the way that they search for, a lot of people search for points flights the way that they search for cash flights, where you're like, okay, I need to get from Nashville over to Manila, and it's going to involve 2 crossovers at least. What you could do instead is search from Chicago, because it might be cheaper for you to string together 2 separate flight bookings, like Nashville to Chicago as one, and then Chicago to the Philippines as a second one. And that would be cheaper than trying to get everything on one ticket from Nashville all the way to Manila. So position flights is another one where it's a little bit more intermediate, but people make that mistake all the time where they're like, I searched for an exact flight on an exact day. I couldn't find anything. Points don't work. Sometimes you just need to be a little bit creative.
And I love that idea. I would not have thought of it because I'm not familiar with this, but that again makes perfect sense. And I've seen that when I've tried to book flights, or I'm trying to book a train now to go to California. I've never been on a train. I think it's time. It's not fun. It's just not fun. And I'm finding that I'm going to have to go here, stop there, get on another train. And you're calling that positioning. Well, I figured out that I had to do that on a train.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Julia, can you share an example of a trip where points or miles made a huge difference in your cost or experience?
Oh, absolutely. So this year alone, I think my husband and I have redeemed for $163,000 worth of travel with hotels and flights. Our out-of-pocket cost is something like 16 or 17,000. So we're getting about 90% off by using these different points deals. For example, earlier this year, we flew back from Hong Kong to California. That flight was in Cathay Pacific first class. I think the retail value of that flight is 16 or $17,000 per person one way. But instead, I paid 125,000 points plus $125 per person one way. So it can be a huge offset if you are using points instead of money.
I bet. My jaw just kind of dropped today. I had to put my finger up underneath my chin and push my mouth closed. I would have never thought it would be that substantial. But you
Oh,
have to know
yeah,
what you're doing. You have to be very strategic, apparently.
for sure.
Well, how do you approach creating a personalized travel strategy for a client? And you do work with a lot of people, which I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, that is a great question. So we start with, again, working backwards. What are your goals? So it's the exact same process, except we do the work for you, all the research. So where do you want to go? When do you want to go? Who flies there? What are the best routes available for those dates? What kind of points do you need? How do you accumulate those points? It seems like four easy steps, and anybody doing this on their own can do those steps. But it does take a bit of research to figure out, okay, who flies there on those dates? Do we need positioning flights? What kind of points do you need? Who transfers where? So that's our process that we use for clients as well. I also recommend just prioritizing flying over the ocean first and then figuring out all of the little connecting flights. It freaks people out because it's not chronological. So let's say that I was trying to fly into Asia. I'm in Las Vegas and I'm trying to get to Thailand. Maybe there's not a good deal from Los Angeles to Thailand, but maybe or from Las Vegas to Thailand, but maybe there is something from Los Angeles or San Francisco that gets me over to Singapore. So then I would book that over the ocean piece first, and then maybe buy separate flight from Las Vegas to California, separate flight from Singapore to Thailand. And so those are the kinds of different routing rules where we will advise our clients, hey, prioritize the big stuff first, then connect it all later. Most people want to go in order where they say, okay, I need to fly from Las Vegas to here, to here, to Thailand. But oftentimes the prioritization is different.
And I would think that it would be better pricing too if you do it that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Cause then you're knocking out the most important, most expensive piece and getting a great deal on that. And then US to, or sorry, Las Vegas over to California in that example would probably be 100, $200 per person.
Yeah.
Same with
Yeah.
Singapore to Thailand.
Don't they call those puddle jumpers or something like that?
Yeah. I
There's
just call
some
them
kind of
positioning flights.
yeah. But I know to go from one state to another, like for me to go from here to, let's say, Dallas or Houston, it's under $100.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not drive in Houston or Dallas. So there's that. So what's an under the radar tip that most people overlook when they're redeeming their points? I know you talk, pretty extensively about starting backwards and, taking the big trip, booking the big thing first, but what's something else they need to know about?
I would recommend prioritizing when you want to go versus where you want to go. Because of a lot of our clients, they don't even know all the good deals that are out there. So we get a lot of requests for, hey, my kid's spring break is this week. What are the good deals? And sometimes you end up on an adventure that wasn't even on your radar. So a lot of people are like, oh, when's the best deal or time to go to Japan? Oh, it's on this Wednesday. I don't really love that. But if instead you just pick a continent or general region where you say, we want to go somewhere for summer vacation, I want to go somewhere where it's not too hot, let's just find good flight deals over to Europe, you will find something. And it might not necessarily be a country where you're like, oh, I didn't really think Germany was on my top choice, but there's a good flight over to Germany. And then once you're over the ocean, it's so easy to just hop around in Europe. So prioritizing when to travel instead of where you want to go can open up so many better deals for you as well.
See, and I love that idea because you're right about Europe. I mean, look, we've got Texas. Texas, 3 days to drive across that state. It's like its own country. But so much of Europe could probably fit in Texas, and they're just all next door to one another. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so when and right now we're looking at Thanksgiving. Right now, I'm assuming that a lot of people are just panicking about Thanksgiving flights.
Yeah, for multiple reasons. One is the
Mhm.
cost, but also what if something goes wrong? We've seen a lot with the TSA issues and the
Right.
government shutdowns and everything. My best tip there, make sure you have a credit card that has trip protections where if they lose your bag or your baggage is delayed and you have to buy all new clothes or your flight is delayed or something else like that, have a card that will cover you in certain instances. Read the welcome packet that comes with your card so you know what you're entitled to, how many hundreds of dollars certain things will pay out for. My favorite ones are the Chase Sapphire cards, Capital One Venture cards, and then Amex Platinum is also really good for those trip protections. So that would be my number one tip is make sure you have a card that not only is great for, I'll say offense when you want things to go right, but also defense in case things go wrong with your travels.
So this is outside of points. It's just a really great tip. Okay.
Exactly.
So business owners or frequent flyers, how can they use their points more effectively?
Oh, business owners have such a cheat code to do all with this because business credit cards actually have higher sign up bonuses, and generally you can earn more points per dollar on different categories. Like, I spend a good amount of money on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and I have an Amex Business Gold, which gets 4 points per dollar on that expense versus just using something that would get 1% cash back. So that's huge. And then also, business owners tend to have higher expenses. So at that point, even if you don't like flying that much or staying at hotels that much, you can get status with different programs just by running things through a co branded credit card. Like that's how I get my American Airlines status oftentimes, is just by putting tax payments on my American Airlines card, and then that'll get me status throughout the year. So if you're a business owner or high cash flow individual, you have so many advantages when it comes to points and miles. Um, we can do a free intro call at geobreezetravel.com/intro call. If you're like, tell me all the ways that I'm leaving money on the table, I'm spending $20,000 a year on flights. If you have a business that's got decently high cash flows, you should probably be getting a lot of your at least personal vacation flights in business class for next to no cost.
Status, what does that mean? Remember, I don't travel much, so
Oh, yeah.
what does it
So,
what are we talking about here?
of course, sorry. Status is where the airline or hotel program says you're more important.
Ah,
You're more
gotcha.
important than everybody else who doesn't travel very often. So you get extra perks like free upgrades if they're available, or at hotels, they'll give you late checkout, they'll give you a better room. You might get complimentary breakfast. At airports, when you're flying and if you have high status, you get to board first. You get checked bags for free. So just like all the little things that normally add friction and make travel a bit annoying, as you move up in the world of status, they start removing those friction points and then it's just like silk.
Gotcha. Now I know why my sister books all of her travel with this one particular card. I wanted to ask you, do you think travel hacking is mainly about saving money, or is there a bigger mindset at play?
Very great question. And it depends on what you want to optimize for. So, some people do want to use it to lower their out of pocket costs, pay as little as possible for the travel that they want. Some people, it's about getting more value out of their points and miles, where you're like, I don't need to spend as little as possible, but if I have a budget for travel of $10,000 a year, I want to stretch that to $50,000 or $100,000 of travel per year. So sometimes it's more bang for your buck. Sometimes it's just a lot more bang, where people will see other people traveling where they get to shower in the sky with the Emirates first class flight. Or I've flown on the Singapore suites where it's like you get a chair and a bed separately in your own little pod on the plane. It's actually not little, it's a very large pod. They can take down the wall. And then if you're traveling with someone, it's like you get two of these pods. It's a full size bed on a plane. So sometimes people see that and they want to optimize for having those once in a lifetime experiences. Sometimes people want to optimize for they need a lot more seats on the same plane because they have a large family. Sometimes people will optimize for status, like your sister, where she's flying the same airline every time so that she can maintain her status. So it depends. Everybody's travel style is a little bit different. The important thing is not to try to optimize for everything, because then you're not going to find any good flights if every single thing is a priority.
Gotcha. So this keeps popping into my head. How do you stay disciplined and organized with points, cards, and reward programs? It almost sounds like it's a part-time job.
It can be. There's lots of tools and apps to help with this. I like card pointers to figure out which of your cards to use for any given purchase, because you just tell it, here are the cards in my wallet. Here's what I'm trying to buy. It'll do the math and tell you what's the best card. For tracking all your points, I just do it by hand now. I used to use this thing called a ward wallet where you load in all of your accounts. It'll refresh everything. I try to aim for simplicity and just have points in half a dozen programs at this point. Um, What other tools do I use? As far as like, should I maintain all these cards? I try to do at least a yearly audit of my wallet, sometimes twice a year, where any cards that have annual fees, especially, I'll assess, am I still getting value out of this? For example, a lot of the hotel credit cards have an annual fee of about $100, but they come with an annual free night certificate. So as long as I'm going to stay at a hotel with that brand, that would normally cost at least $100 anyway, and I'm not going well out of my way in order to use that, then the card pays for itself. But if a lot of the certificates are going to waste, I should probably just close or downgrade that card or change it to something else, because I'm not getting the value out of the cost.
Gotcha. When you're dealing with clients or helping clients, what are some of the most common questions they're asking you? There's
Most
got to
common,
be 5 or 10 of them, I'm thinking.
yeah. Most common question is this a good deal? So a lot of people are very afraid of using their points and then suddenly their points float away into the ether and they're like, oh my God, I could have gotten a better deal somewhere else. So just being able to calculate that is one of the most important things, or one of the most common things that we do for clients. Another really common question is, where should I move my points? Is there a better way to route my points to get this flight? So, for example, a lot of people who fly Delta might not know that you can sometimes book those flights for cheaper using an alliance partner like Air France or Virgin Atlantic, where you actually use a foreign website to book domestic flights.
I would
Same
have
with
never thought of that.
Yeah, same with United. Sometimes you can book the flights for cheaper through Air Canada, who partners with United.
I'll be darned. My sister's going to have to listen to this whether she wants to or not. Okay, so when you're talking with people, I can just imagine the questions. I would be the right up front with my hand sticking up, going, "I've got stupid questions. Help!" So, but I'm guessing there are no stupid questions.
Oh, there are,
Are
but
there?
your questions have been very good. So I bet
No,
that
you have
your
you
questions should
have
be
to
insightful.
share to make me feel better. So share some of the stupid questions.
Um, a lot of the stupid questions that I get are where people just don't read, where it's like right in front of them, where I'm like, hey, if your flight is like, if it's a one-way flight, that's a one-way flight. You still need to find a flight going back. We've had people who do that, where we'll send out a flight deal and be like, there are great flights over to Europe right now, but you need to get yourself back from Europe. Things like that, where people just don't necessarily read, or um, if they want to sign up for given promotion, I'm like, did you make sure to link up your things? It's just a matter of following step-by-step directions, which are usually 2 steps.
I get what you mean about reading. So many people don't. I like bullet points for that very reason. They're easy to follow. Do this, do this. Dang it, do it, that kind of thing. But yeah, you and I have talked about in the pre-interview about underrepresented voices in the travel space. Let's talk about that because I know it's an important topic for you.
Yeah, back when I started this in 2017, even when I started my podcast and everything around 2019, 2020, I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me doing points and miles content. Now I do. Whenever I search on Instagram, I think there's probably more than a 50% chance it'll be a woman in points and miles talking about it, which I love for how the industry has evolved so quickly as well. I think in the world of like loyalty and people who are in business class, there is still a fairly common belief that certain people don't belong or like, oh, I think you're in the wrong line. I'd like to change that and just like make this a bit more accessible for everybody because business class and first class is amazing. And I want more people to be able to experience that for themselves.
That really happens?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or especially if you're just like a solo traveler of a certain demographic, people will often just be like, I think you're in the wrong line. I'm like, well, I'm not, but sometimes it'll happen. It never happens if I'm with my husband, but it is what it is.
Well, tell people who you are and why this would be important.
Who I am, like what I look like, because we're on audio only. Um,
Yeah. Your ethnicity, your history, because I think that's important when you're talking about underrepresented voices.
yeah, I'm Julia, first gen, Filipino American, grew up in Missouri, but my parents immigrated from the Philippines in the 1980s, and flying business class was definitely not on my bingo card when I was 6 or something. I think we took a flight every 8 years for family vacation across the ocean. Yeah, I crossed the ocean when I was 6 and 14 and 22. And then after that, um, I had my own career, so I was able to travel a little bit more. But yeah, it's not the lifestyle that I would have predicted for myself.
I wouldn't think it would be a lifestyle that anybody would predict. I mean, it's just what you're talking about is fascinating, but it's also a bit complicated, and I suspect terrifying for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. So many things about points and miles, like whether it's you don't like flying, but also just financial literacy scares a lot of people
Mhm.
where they're like, what if I overspend on credit cards? Credit cards are evil. We should avoid anything with fees. So they avoid cards with annual fees. There's so many just like psychological things that happen along the way where it it involves a bit of research. It involves a bit of shifting how you think about certain financial instruments and then knowing how to make the system work for you instead of accidentally spending $5,000 just so you get 5,000 more points, which nobody should do.
No kidding. So, when you're talking with people that you're working with or who are listening to your podcast, how do you help them decide which credit cards or loyalty programs are right for them? What should they be looking at?
Yeah, again, I would start with what's the goal here? What are you trying to do? And not opening cards just because everybody is saying, oh, this is the best card this month, because a lot of people say that because they increase commissions on those different cards in a given month. So, yeah, just if you're looking for more cards, we do free credit card consultations at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. You can write to us with your specific situation and we can help with that. But don't open credit cards just out of shiny object syndrome, please.
I know. I That's a bad one. What is one piece of advice you'd give someone who feels intimidated by travel hacking or like me has never even heard the term, but they want to start, they want more information. I know they can go to you, they can talk with you, they can go to your website, but what where should they really start? With a piece of paper, with a notebook, with a dream? Where should they start?
I would start by understanding that the internet is an illusion and that whether it's for travel hacking or fitness or money or anything, like anything that you're seeing on the internet is the highlight reel of someone else's life. I have to tell people that all the time, that points influencers are not flying every week in first class. We batch content and it drips out over 3 months. So there's that. But also, like, if you want to get started, we have a free Points 101 course at geobreezetravel.com/free course. It's a really good primer for all of this. And also, as you start consuming content from different points influencers, feel free to DM and say hi. And then um, look into the different free resources. YouTube is free. There's tons of free blogs. And then just know you don't have to go from zero to Emirates first class on your first redemption. There's so many people who are afraid to use their points on small economy redemptions because it's like, quote, a waste of points. But everybody starts somewhere. You don't have to start huge.
How is it a waste of points?
Oh, where people are like, you could get so much more value out of your points, where if it's 10,000 points to fly some domestic flight, you could get 10,000 points in a short hop first class flight or something internationally. Not really on those numbers, but everybody's like, you could get so much more value and such nicer experiences if you use your points this way instead. It's a lot of like redemption shaming that people are doing their points wrong, which I don't really subscribe to. I'm just like, it depends what you're trying to optimize for. If it's convenience of you just didn't want to pay for this flight, yeah, cash out your Southwest points. That's fine.
So really, you do need a notebook to start with, and have some columns. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. This is what's important to me. Comfort. I don't want to have to, get off the plane and then jump on a donkey and go 40 miles down the road in Arizona. So I would think that if you would start, and I'm just guessing, with like you say, reverse engineer it. Is it comfort? Is it, do you want status? What do you want? And then, like you said, work your way back.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about what are the goals that you want and why are you getting into this game? And the answer is never because I saw something cool on Instagram and I want to be like that. Like it should actually tie into what you want for your own life.
And you're very passionate about it. I mean, you started this kind of as an accident, and look where you are now. But you're very passionate about it, and you clearly love what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a fun game. And I love that this exists and this opportunity is here for people. But I also understand like it takes more work than a lot of people on the internet make it look like, especially not even on purpose, just we're creating 1 minute videos on Instagram and TikTok. So it does take more research than a lot of people would expect.
Everything does. And, these say I'm going to stammer here because I don't know how to express myself without saying bad words, but so many people just go, "Oh, I want that. I want to do that. I want to do that." But they either don't want to do the work, or they don't know how to start the work, or they just want to do it with no other thought than that. And that's horrible. And we see it all the time.
Yeah. I know that in the internet culture and today's world, everything feels like it should be easier. There's just a lot of instant gratification things, but this is one of those things where it does take a little bit of studying. So it'll either involve some time or you could outsource it. There's lots of people on the internet who I've interviewed on my podcast where they accept money to do it for you. I accept money to do it for you. So those are kind of your two options. But sometimes I just have to tell people you can't really get upset about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Oh, good. I'm writing that down. In fact, say that again, would you?
It's not my quote. I saw it on some fitness meme, but you can't get upset about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, we're going to freewheel here. What do you love the most about the work you do?
I love getting to meet the people who are changing the industry. My favorite podcast episodes that I've interviewed people on are the startup founders who create websites and apps and programs. I love interviewing the different directors of the loyalty programs and figuring out from a business standpoint, how do they think about things? Because it's fun in the beginning to talk about other people who are like, I'm just a normal girl too, and I now got to fly business class. But at some point, as you get deeper and deeper down this fantastic rabbit hole, I have really, really enjoyed getting to meet with the people who are not just playing the game, but changing the game.
And it gives you an opportunity to pick their brains, so to speak. And that
Mhm.
gives you a wealth of information that you can just turn into, helping people in your business. Smart way to do things.
Yeah.
I love podcasting for that reason. Anybody who listens to me knows that I consider my podcast guests in many, many ways to be my mentors. I learned so much from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
Okay, so keep going. Tell me what you really, really love about this. In the beginning, let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, when you first started this, did you have any moments where you thought, "What the heck am I doing? Do I need to go back into corporate?"
Oh, like a it's over moment.
Yeah,
The Whiffio moment that we're at
we
it's
all have.
over.
Yeah, we all
We-
do. We're all sitting around going, "What the heck?" Well, it's another word, but yeah, what the heck was I thinking?
Um, luckily, so my husband and I reached financial independence before I really got into this. I've also been playing with like pretty small numbers. For me, like it's more than I made as an actuary, but it's not like life-changing corporate exit kind of numbers. So with that, I I have not really reached a oh my god, everything's over moment. There have been some moments where I'm just like it wasn't even monetary in the business. It's just somebody who you thought was on your side isn't on your side. Um, you get some press trip opportunity that other people get upset about. People write mean things on the internet. There's like those it's over moments, but the it's over isn't necessarily my business. It's oh, that relationship I had with that other person on the internet is over.
Right,
It's more of those where I don't think the hardest things in business are ever monetary, because that's just a math problem. I think all the hard problems are relational, where I, I don't know, the hardest thing I've ever gone through is like thinking someone's on your side, but then they're not. So those are the moments in business where I'm like, oh, thought you were cheering for me, but you're not. And that's okay. Then you just move on. And there's lots of other people you can talk to. Even if you feel like you're in a very niche industry, there's always someone else you can talk to.
there are, and boundaries are a good thing. They're not
Yeah.
walls. They're a wall with doors. You can come in if I let you, but don't push. So I like boundaries a lot. So when you first started this, and I got a kick out of you saying your husband got sick of hearing you chat about it. So what was his reaction when you started, actually making this a business? And does he help you with it?
He does not help me with it. Silent partner and just kind of cheers from the side, lets me do my own thing.
Makes you
So
coffee in the morning?
I I make my own drinks in the morning. Um, no, I do have a team though, and they're very instrumental to how I run everything. He enjoys the travel, I think. We used up all of his PTO though, so I tend to take more solo trips these days, just meeting up with friends in different places. But we have very different interests, but he's benefited a little bit from my taking interest in this.
I would guess he would if he gets to travel. I mean, that's a great thing. So again, I'm trying to delve into why you started this, when you started it. Give me the high points, and then we'll talk about a couple of low points.
Oh, I start everything just because I'm trying to make more friends and connect with more people in the world. I think a lot of people who have the entrepreneurial spirit just feel very lonely so often, and you're just looking for somebody. You're like scanning the world to be like, do you see the world the same way that I see the world? And podcasting's a great way to do that, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just kind of talking into the void about the thing that interests you, because maybe somebody like 99% of people walk by and they're like, you're such a weirdo. Why are you just talking about this very strange niche interest? But then another 1% of people will walk by and be like, wait, you're into this too? Oh my God, I've never met somebody who thought about this the same way. So yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, I started all of this just to have people to talk with um, on video chat during the pandemic because we were all stuck inside, and it's really evolved since then. And now I focus more on, can I build up a team that runs this on their own, where I provide those opportunities where if somebody wants to be really great at sales or really great at client management or really great at some other function that would normally be in a business role, can I grow this enough to where they can just make a living doing that, but with points and miles because it's a niche interest?
Marketing is one of those things that entrepreneurs need to think about. Either do it yourself or find a great team. If you don't drive traffic to what it is that you're offering, they're not gonna find you. And I'm a web developer by trade, and, I would tell people very early on, because 'cause I've been doing this for quite a while, there are hundreds, millions of websites and now podcasts as well. I don't know if there's millions, but yeah, I think there are. But you still have to market. You still have to drive people to it. You still have to let people know that your doors are open. And that's a big mistake that I think new entrepreneurs make. Oh, I'll market later. Market before you even start.
Yeah.
And that's tricky because a lot of people are terrified of marketing sales. They're just terrified. But you have to do it.
It's like financial literacy as well. Whenever people hear sales or marketing, they're like, oh, like that's sleazy and bad things happen there. Same thing with credit cards. People are like, oh, credit cards are scammy and like it only leads to bad things. Not really. You just have to.
Well, you have to know how to use them. And that's what you're
Exactly.
talking about. You have to identify what credit cards are going to get you where you want to go and then not blow them up and, wind up in debtor's court or somewhere. So, and you talked about too, Julie, you talked about paying them off. There are going to be people that cannot pay them off every month. So what's your advice to them?
Oh, don't get into this if you can't pay off your credit cards every month. If you know you have an issue with overspending on credit cards, or you're having to carry over a balance, or maybe some things got wrecked on your credit a while back, fix all of that first. Have a good, solid financial foundation before getting into this game, because this is just the gravy on top. Don't eat a bowl full of gravy. It's going to be very weird. So make sure you have your actual financial foundation set.
And, I knew you were going to say that. That makes sense. But some people are going to go, yeah, but I want to do it. I really want to do it. So what do you tell them other than what you just said?
I would tell them what I just said. Once
Don't
again,
do it.
like you
Yeah.
have to have discipline. Like if you get into this and you don't have that financial foundation set, it can easily wreck your financial future. So please, I know everybody wants like the shiny accessories, like things on Instagram that you see with like all of the cool lifestyle content. Behind all of that, for anybody who's not like just secretly struggling, for anybody who actually has made it, there is a lot of boring work that happens with just getting your foundation set before you do any of the flashy stuff. Please get all that set first.
So now you're talking my language about podcasting. People go, oh, I can make a podcast. Really? Where are you going to build it? How are you going? What's your audience? It's not easy. It's not. Do I love my podcast? Oh yeah, it's almost 18 years old. It's old enough to drink or drive or boat, but it's not easy. You have to have a plan like you do with what you're talking about. You have to have a plan. You have to have a cast iron stomach. You need to know what you're doing and you need to be consistent.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of businesses just go off the rails because they're not consistent. It was a shiny object. We're all guilty of going, "Ooh, I want that." Squirrel brains. But you have to have a plan and you have to be consistent.
Absolutely. Consistency, especially with the boring stuff, is the key.
Oh yeah. That's the stuff that's no fun at all. But that's where you build your team. Here, you go do this, you do the marketing, you do this. And I'm gonna give you a tip of my own. Always hire people that are better than you are. At whatever it is that you're asking them to do, make sure they know more than you do.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you started building a team, what were you asking for?
Competence, largely.
Yeah,
Um,
there's
w-
that.
with whatever the function is. So the main ones that we hire for are like front end sales team, and then once somebody signs on, the fulfillment team. So with the fulfillment team, obviously, like already know how to do points and miles searches and everything. A lot of people come into the interview thinking that's where we'll train them. The training is free. It's on my YouTube. People can access those and train themselves off of those. once you're in the game of doing client fulfillment, then it's more about understanding the psychology and learning about the different clients and getting to know them. All the technical skills should already be there. Very similar to sales, where the technical skills of knowing how to sell something should already be just base expectations. But on top of that, it's learning the different product, because ours is a little bit more technical than like a fitness offer or a um, business opportunity offer or a marital counseling relationship offer. So learning those technical skills are a little bit different too, but also just being able to manage competency and then getting along with other people, whether it's front facing or back end. Those are the skills we really check for.
And I'm guessing listening skills are very important because you're talking with people who I'm guessing, I'm just kind of putting this out there because this is the way my brain works. But I'm thinking that your team and you are working with people who are a little bit panicked, possibly. This is new to them. They don't really know where they need to go. So you need to listen very carefully and find out what their real fears are, their real concerns are, and how you can help them. Is that about right?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people where they're like, oh, it's very expensive to try to do this or blah, blah, blah. It's usually not a price thing because so many of our clients already have high expenses or they're used to um, some aspect of luxury in their lifestyles. It's usually a doubt that will this system work? So getting into what the actual fear or the actual objection is very important as well.
That's what I was trying to get at. Okay, so what are some practical steps that listeners that they're with us today can take immediately?
Sure. So I actually have a couple of things to give away to people today. Um, One of the things that I love about your show is you're constantly showing up. You said it's been 18 years
Yeah.
for your audience, giving massive value. So I wanted to do something like that as well and offer something I have not usually offered before. So this is for business owners or high cash flow individuals who feel like they're leaving money on the table when it comes to points and miles. And so the first thing that I'm giving out is my hotel upgrade email template. It's a script that, when used correctly, it's gotten thousands of my followers free upgrades and amenities at hotels all over the world. And also directions for how to use it are included in the template. And then the second thing is something that's not available anywhere else online. I call it my potential savings calculator, and it's a spreadsheet on how to calculate how much money are you leaving on the table. Where you're like, oh, I could be getting $50,000 in travel. I could be getting $70,000 of travel just from normal everyday expenses and reallocating those. So if you want both of those absolutely free, just as my way of saying thank you for listening, go to my Instagram at GeoBreeze Travel. Send me the word podcast 2025, all one word, no spaces. And then I will automatically send you the free hotel upgrade email template and the potential savings calculator. Just send me the word podcast 2025 on Instagram at GeoBreeze Travel, and I will send it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to go do that for my sister. I could send it to her. Okay, so I did have a question. Oh, we are out of time. Before I let you go, very reluctantly let you go, where can people find you? You just mentioned it again, but I know you've got your website, you've got your Instagram. Where can people, is there a phone number? How do you want people to connect with you?
I mostly hang out on Instagram at GeoBreeze Travel. If you want more in-depth videos, we do a lot of tutorials on the YouTube as well. And our website is geobreezetravel.com. You can find all sorts of different free downloadables there as well.
And I've been meaning to ask you, how did you come up with the name GeoBreeze? What does that mean?
My sister came up with it. It was supposed to be like, it's easy to travel around the world between like, it's very breezy and geo, but which means Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We're both
we went with
blaming our
that.
sisters here. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been fascinating. I had no idea that travel hacking was a real thing. And I love your points about point strategies, and everything you've talked about is not only practical, but truly inspiring what you've done in just a short amount of time. So for anybody looking to travel smarter, save money, and make the most of their points and miles, your advice has been invaluable. So to our listeners, if you want to learn more from Julia or work with her directly, you can find her at geobreezetravel.com. She says the best place to reach her is on Instagram. And thank you for tuning into your Partner in Success Radio. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode with your network, and let me know what resonated with you most. And I am Denise Griffitts. Thank you for listening, and I will see you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Julia, thank you. This has been delightful.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.